Welcome to the Hotelligence Podcast, your strategic vantage point on the changing landscape of hotel safety. Hosted by Jim Kortz, a retired FBI DHS investigator, and Don Carr, a former frontline security owner-operator with years of first-hand incident response experience on hotel properties. Every episode brings you closer to understanding the full picture and what the future may hold. Let's begin.
Welcome to the Hotelligence Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 2.
So, Don, on the last episode, we talked about how a band is only as strong as the record behind it.
We did indeed, Jim. And today we look at the word itself, band.
Yeah, because that one word is doing the work of two very different instruments.
Yes, a do not rent entry versus a trespass warning.
But properties use those words interchangeably.
They do indeed. But you know as well as anybody, the law does not.
Right. So if you listen at any front desk long enough, you'll hear it.
Yeah, he's banned. She's trespassed. They're on the list.
Said if those really are the same sentence.
And on a calm night, well, really the difference never surfaces.
Yeah, the name is known, the person doesn't come back, and then the words were close enough, right?
Right. And really the only time that difference surfaces is on the night that the person comes back, if the person comes back. So here's why the words often drift together. It's because both instruments point at the same outcome. A person the property does not want on the premises. That's the bottom line. It's the same face at the door. It's the same instinct at the desk. So the language merges because the intent feels identical, because the intent is identical. But that intent, that's not the instrument. And the night the person returns, the property discovers which instrument it actually holds. And a lot of times it's not the one that everyone assumed. So, Jim, let's talk about what each instrument actually is, because a do not rent entry is a business decision.
Yeah, it's the property choosing who it will and will not do business with.
It lives inside the property. So it's created by the property and it's enforced by the property.
Yeah, no statute created it. No outside party holds a copy of it.
Now, a trespass warning is completely different in kind. Not just the degree of it. It's a totally different instrument.
Yeah, right, Don. It's a legal notice. And in most jurisdictions, it involves law enforcement, a formal notice to the person, and documentation that exists outside of the property.
Right. And violating that is not a customer service issue, if you will.
Right. It's an offense. So this is a line worth holding on to. A do not rent entry says the property declines the business relationship. A trespass warning says the person's presence on the property is itself unlawful. So one is a property exercising its own discretion, and the other is the property invoking authority it doesn't own itself. Both are legit, and they both have their place, but one of them brings the state into the room. And the state, once invited, has its own procedures, its own record, and its own definition of what happened. So here's where the confusion kind of, can cost. The confusion runs in both directions.
Right, Jim. Direction one, well, that's the property believes a do not rent entry is a trespass.
Yeah, let's say the person returns and the front desk calls the police expecting an arrest.
And the responding officer asks one question. Was this person formally trespassed?
The answer is a name on an internal list. Nothing was served to the person. There's nothing on file anywhere but the property's own internal system.
Right. So the encounter starts over from zero at the counter that night with everyone watching.
Direction 2 is a bit quieter. The property holds an actual trespass warning and treats it like a list entry.
Staff wave the person in for a coffee. A manager makes an exception for a busy weekend.
Not realizing the property is now sitting on an instrument it stopped honoring.
Both directions really kind of share the same root because the property never separated what it decided from what it invoked. In the first direction, the property assumed authority it never formalized. And that's probably one of the most common ones. And that gap appears at the worst possible moment. In the second, the property formalized authority and then treated it casually, which, again, raises its own questions about every other warning it ever issued. So an instrument the property honors inconsistently starts to look less like a standard. And the previous episode, we already covered what happens to decisions that stop looking like standards. So Jen, let's get into the 2 records and 2 homes, because again, last episode, we said that the record is the only part of the band that stays.
Yeah, right. And this episode adds wrinkles to that. The 2 instruments keep their records, but in different homes.
The do not rent record lives entirely inside the property. The property writes it, keeps it, and answers for it.
Right. And the trespass record lives partly in someone else's file, maybe a police report or a served notice or a case number.
Which means the property controls one record completely.
And the other only partially.
And really, that's not a reason to prefer one instrument over the other.
No, it's the reason to know which one you're holding. So think about what each home means when the instrument is tested. The internal record rises or falls on the property's own documentation. Everything episode 1 covered, right? The external record has a life of its own. It can be requested, subpoenaed, compared against the property's version of events. If the property's account of the official account tell different stories, then the property does not get to pick which one counts, right? 2 instruments, 2 records, 2 very different conversations when someone asks to see them. So in closing, band is a word.
Right. And do not rent is a decision the property made.
And trespass is authority the property invoked.
That's right. One lives on a list at the desk. The other lives partly in a file the property will never hold.
On a calm night, nobody can really tell them apart.
That's right. But on the night the person comes back, well, that's when they start to realize the difference.
Right. Yeah, somewhere tonight, a front desk agent recognizes a face walking through that front door.
But the next thing that happens, well, that depends on which word the property actually meant.
That's season 3, episode 2 of the Hotelligence Podcast.
So next time we move to the counter itself. The list is policy, but the refusal, that's a moment handled by a person in front of a witness. We'll talk about why that moment of refusal carries the weight that the list never does. And remember, we're in this together.
And together, we make hospitality stronger.
Thank you for joining the Hotelligence Podcast, where experience informs smarter, safer hotel operations and prepares you for what comes next. Stay informed, stay confident, and stay connected. As the conversation evolves, Jim Cords and Don Carr will highlight developments that help hotels strengthen their approach to safety and risk management. See you next episode.